Hi, my name is Jamin Goecker. I'm a realtor in South Central Alaska, and my mission is to help people build significant intentional legacies for themselves and their families by coaching them in real estate. And today what we're going to be talking about is that it's cold in Anchorage, Alaska. Okay, this shouldn't come as any kind of a surprise, but yes, it does get cold up here. In all fairness though, after you've lived up here for a while, it really doesn't feel like that big of a deal. As you can see, just got this pullover right here, kind of a light jacket, and it's, I think, somewhere around 30 degrees outside. Does not really feel like it's that cold though. When it first got up here though, probably would have had like a full snow coat on. So after you get used to it, it's really not going to feel that cold. But let's go and talk a little bit first on what you can kind of expect when you're up here, and secondly, how Alaskans kind of respond to the cold up here and some things you can do to kind of help yourself mitigate how cold it does get up here. Before we get started though, make sure that you do give this video a like, make sure that you subscribe, and if you are also thinking about coming up here, you have questions you'd like to have answered, make sure that you post any ideas for future videos down in the comments section. I'd be more than happy to take a look at any proposed ideas. Now, without further ado, let's go and jump into it. Now, when we're looking at how cold it gets in Anchorage, the thing we have to keep in mind is Anchorage is kind of a big area, and it is also going to incorporate a lot of different geographies. You can have some very dramatically different temperature gauges on certain areas just because the geography is going to be different. If you have an area that's really low geographically, like it's in the bed of a river or something like that, that's going to be a lot colder than what you might find somewhere else. So keep in mind, these are all generalizations, but if you're looking at Anchorage during the month of January, the average temperature there is going to be 14 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's going to be pretty cold. That can get a little cold. Actually, last summer, I don't think so. Last January, I believe it was, we set a record for the most days where it was under 0 degrees. So it can get kind of cold during that time period. And there's going to be a few months out of the year you are probably not going to want to go out and do a whole lot. Just to kind of give you some comparison though on how Alaska is a little bit more on the mild side. If you're looking at moving up to Fairbanks, their actual average degree during the winter time is going to be negative 12 degrees in January compared to Anchorage's 14 degrees. That's pretty cold too. So yes, that definitely is something you need to be aware of, and you need to kind of give yourself some time to kind of ease into it as best you can. Now also, if you're up here and you're in Anchorage, you're going to have a couple times where it might suddenly warm up for a little bit. So everything will be frozen, everything is set for winter, and then suddenly you might have a couple days where it warms up suddenly to about 40 degrees or something like that, and everything starts melting. Which isn't cool, because what happens is it melts and it's going to get very slick and icy, and then it's going to freeze that very same night. So that's something that we don't like to see. Occasionally you can have that happen, and occasionally you can also have cold snaps just go through where suddenly it gets a lot colder than what it was before. Now, kind of talking about how Alaskans respond to the cold. That's a topic that we're going to get to in just a second here, but if this has been useful for you so far, make sure you give this video a like, make sure that you subscribe, and again, any ideas for future videos, post those down below and be happy to take a look at them. Now, when we're talking about how Alaskans respond to the cold, for the most part, what we're going to do is just bundle up, and we're going to be kind of strategic about the outdoor activities that you're going to go and do. Sometimes you just got to know, hey, there's not going to be a whole lot of sunlight where we're going. There's a mountain blocking this specific lake that we want to go ice fishing in. So being out there on the ice without a tent for a long period of time, probably not going to be a good idea. it's probably going to end with you having to rush back to the house and get under the blankets and shiver for a couple hours, just trying to get the heat back into your body. Okay, just knowing stuff like that is going to be pretty beneficial. So be proactive, know where you're going, know how much sunlight you're going to be getting, and just know how to dress and bundle up. Electric blankets, those are going to be a very, very worthwhile purchase up here. So get some electric blankets. They're awesome. And another big one, get some wool socks. Those really do become a lifesaver up here. And let's see, lastly, a lot of people do have stud tires. I personally do not. I just have the all-season tires. I have kind of a smaller, more compact vehicle though, and I'm able to get around, just fine. I'm not sliding all over the place. But a lot of people get the studded tires. So, if you need that to feel a little bit more confident on the roads driving in the ice, that's not a bad idea. But yes, it does get very cold up here in Alaska still, and it's just very good to kind of do that proactive planning. I did not do this very well one time when I was out door knocking, talking to some people, and just giving out some updates on what was going on in the area. And I had like thick gloves, but they weren't really heated. So that's another item I would add on there. Get battery powered like hand warmers for your gloves. It really goes a long way. But anyway, I was walking around and I could just feel my temperature dropping just because the neighborhood was kind of dipping down near a river. And yeah, man, it got so cold. So I had to kind of just hightail it back to my car. Got into Walmart. That was the that was the closest big building I could get to that had heat in it. And slowly just kind of took my gloves off in there, and they were just so numb. And I just took my hands and just stuck them on my head and just got like instant brain freeze just because my hands were just so cold. And then all the sensations started coming back into my hand like all at the same time. And yeah, not a good feeling. Wouldn't recommend it. Definitely felt very needly and very stabby in my hands for a little bit. So yeah, try to avoid that. Plan ahead. Don't be like me. Make sure you plan ahead and you can understand what you're getting into. Another cool thing when it does get really cold up here though, there's a nice little trick where it gets so cold you can actually just throw the water up into the air and it's going to evaporate before it hits the ground just because it does get that cold in some places. So in conclusion, Anchorage gets cold. It's not quite as cold as you're going to find in other parts of Alaska where it's going to be pretty darn close to the Arctic Circle, but it does get pretty cold and you need to be ready for it. There are going to be a couple of months out of the year where it gets so cold that not even Alaskans like to go outside to to go and do stuff just because it's cold and gets pretty uncomfortable pretty quickly. So just something to plan for. Honestly though, if you're looking at other places like Texas, I lived there for a number of years, and there were a couple months during the summertime where it got so hot you didn't want to go and do anything just because you're going to get sunburned and get a lot of different you didn't want to go outside because it was just so hot. And it's going to be the same way with Alaska, just in reverse and for the winter time. So I sure hope this has been useful. If you do have any questions or concerns about the winter time or the cold up here, make sure that you drop those in the comments section down below. If you are considering moving up here or you have questions about Alaska that you very specifically want to have answered, make sure you reach out to me through my Facebook page. And if you're ready to start looking for homes in this area, make sure to stick around to the very end where I kind of walk you through how to download my app and start looking for homes in this area. So I sure hope this has been useful. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Downloading my app is pretty simple. You simply scroll to the description section of my videos, click on the link there. It's going to take you to my website. From there, scroll down, hit download app. It'll take you to a place where you enter in your phone number. Enter that in, click send link. It's going to text you a link to the App Store. And from there, you'll have to click on that, enter in your email address, and then it's going to register you to the app, and you'll be able to start modifying your search. You can modify number of bedrooms, bathrooms, property type. You have a lot of modifications you can do on there, or just draw a shape to it. From there, you'll have the ability to go and just browse through, create your own specific saved searches on there that's going to make sense for you. Go ahead and add notes just so it makes sense. And that's going to be kind of the basic search capabilities. There are a lot of extra bonuses and things to this that make it really beneficial, like walking you through the entire process as a buyer or seller and giving you all the details that's involved with each one of those steps. So never at any point are you going to be lost in the process. So we've kind of just scratched the surface here, but that's just to get you started.